The government is trumpeting the economic gains from the new Trans-Pacific Partnership, estimating it could add between $1.2 billion to $4 billion to the economy once it's fully implemented. The Trade Minister David Parker released the text of the controversial deal in a government-commissioned report into the effects on the economy. And Mr Parker is confident the agreement will make the country even wealthier than has been estimated. Our economics correspondent Patrick O'Mara has more.
The National Interest Analysis reckons the economy will grow between 0.3 and 1% more than it did if the TPP did not exist. While the gains are less impressive than the previous TPP, that did include the world's biggest economy, the United States, which under President Donald Trump has since pulled out. The Trade Minister David Parker talked up the TPP trade benefits, pointing out the free trade agreement with China greatly exceeded initial forecasts.
I have no doubt that when you have a trade agreement with Japan, the third largest economy in the world, and Canada, just about there, and Mexico, in a large economy, there are significant economic benefits for our country.
The beef industry will be one of the biggest beneficiaries, especially in Japan. Tariffs will fall from 38.5% to 9% over 16 years. Beef and Lamb's General Manager of Policy and Advocacy, David Harrison, says the deal will also immediately remove the advantage currently enjoyed by beef producers in Australia, which already has a free trade agreement with Japan.
We employ 80,000 people and we export 95% or 90% of what we produce. So having those opportunities to be able to export and having those opportunities to be able to export to high-value markets is hugely important to our sector, to jobs and to rural New Zealand as well.
David Parker warned that if New Zealand doesn't sign up, the economy could shrink.
If we don't have this agreement, then the likes of beef exports into Japan would further suffer. The effects of that on the New Zealand economy spread from the freezing work floor through to the owners of the processing companies and the owners of the farms.
Mr Parker insists the deal is a vast improvement on the previous agreement and protects the government's right to legislate in the national interest. But Labour's support partner, the Greens, will not back the deal. Its co-leader James Shaw says while the government has reduced the ability of foreign firms to sue the government under the investor-state dispute settlement, he wants it removed.
There is the continued existence of the investor-state dispute settlement mechanisms for some countries, and that allows large multinational companies to what we call jurisdiction shop and simply locate where they still have that possibility.
Opponents are also unimpressed, arguing the economic gains are modest and the potential benefits are exaggerated. Auckland law professor and TPP critic Jane Kelsey says the new TPP is not an improvement on the old one, and New Zealand's sovereignty is still at risk.
In the new national interest analysis, there is absolutely nothing to justify the arguments that they've made that this is fundamentally different from the original deal.
The deal will be signed in Chile early next month, though it doesn't enter into force until it's ratified by at least half of the 11 nations. The agreement will go through a select committee where the public will get to have their say, but that's unlikely to matter much. Labour needs Nationals' votes to pass the legislation, and while the centre-right party has yet to confirm it will back the deal, it's almost certain to do so. For Checkpoint, Patrick O'Mara.